Our next guests have devoted their lives to public service. Elizabeth Dole served under 4 administrations as a special assistant for consumer affairs, a member of the Federal Trade Commission, the Secretary of Transportation, and later on as the Secretary of Labor. She also served as a United States Senator and headed up the Red Cross. That is a mouthful. You have done so much. Yeah. Also here with her today, sitting with us, James Williams. He is the longtime CEO of Easter Seals, a wonderful organization. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
So mobilizing the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, you guys are helping these caregivers. I mean, that's what we're focusing our attention on. What is the need, the caregivers? I mean, we're talking about giving care to the caregivers.
That's right. And the caregivers' needs are enormous. They really are hidden heroes. Yeah. People across America just don't realize all that they're doing. And the challenges, for example, handling the legal affairs for the family, the financial affairs, many of them are in their 20s, 30s, and they're trying to take care of their wounded, but their own health is being impacted in a negative way. Many of them have no health care, don't even have a doctor, and they're often isolated. They're trying to prevent triggers that will set off an episode that could last for not hours but days.
We're talking urgent. Right? I mean, this is an urgent situation.
It really is.
Right?
It's a societal crisis that requires a national response, a holistic response across the public sector, private sector, the nonprofits, as well as the faith community and the labor community. And Jim Williams is doing such a tremendous job. It's just a joy to work with Jim as a part of the coalition. They're right at the top of the list in terms of what they've been doing for caregivers.
Well, where can caregivers go to get the help that they need?
Well, I think the first thing I would mention is there's ElizabethDoleFoundation.org and there's EasterSeals.com. And in both of these areas, we have suggestions, and certainly we refer on our website to Easter Seals, which has a comprehensive list of places that the caregivers can go and what they can do.
Can I just jump into this for a second? And Jim, maybe this is for you, or you both can chime in. You mentioned at the top of the show the long marathon these caregivers face. Can you give us some specifics of what that must be like, what you have seen, a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, what a lifetime of care must look like?
Think about what it means. The soldier comes home very different from what he or she was like when they went to war. And here's an individual who now is thrust into this role of medical care, financial care, emotional care, nutritional care. And it's a brand new world that these folks have no idea about how to deal with it. So what we've tried to do at Easter Seals is step in, provide training in all of those areas. We've trained 30,000 veterans caregivers so far. We'll do a lot more so that they'll have good mental health. They'll be able to cope with all of these issues that they're dealing with, and they're profound. As Senator Dole says, just think about, I've never managed the family's finances before, and suddenly now that's my responsibility. How do I do it? I'm dealing with these critical medical issues that I've never had any experience with. A traumatic brain injury, loss of a limb, totally incapable of even contemplating what that means. So we help them get there, figure out how to do that.
And an answer might be, you say, reach out to a large community, get with people who go through the same walk, the same journey that you're experiencing.
Yes, because so many of them are isolated, and it's important to connect them. I have 50 caregivers representing all of the states, and just their opportunity to work with each other is helping them so much because they can share experiences and information. And so we're reaching out from there to a much larger group. But some of them are bathing, feeding, dressing the wounded, and it's 24/7.
Sure.
A really important point about that is that people can do so much to help. If you just think about small little things like, we call it respite. Say to the caregiver, we'll come into your home for an hour and you can just go out and shop, or go to the beauty shop, or do whatever you want to do, or we'll take your kids over to our house, or can we bring you a home-cooked meal? those little tiny acts of kindness make such a difference for these people who feel so isolated because of the overwhelming burden they have.
And also, they should definitely, the caregivers need to mention in their civic groups, in their churches, any organizations they belong to, they need to speak up, and we need to be doing that, all of us, to look for these people so that they can be helped with the resources that are available.
If you wanted to volunteer, do the volunteers have to go to the same place to get the same kind of counseling in order to help the caregivers? As the same place that the caregivers go to prepare to help?
No.
No.
Volunteers are welcome. Both of our websites, we would welcome volunteers to join and to help them with some direction as to what they might do. But as Jim has said, you know, obviously, being able to just mow the lawn on a regular basis, or take the kids for a while, go get the groceries, but also bringing up in the different organizations they belong to, is there a caregiver in our midst? You know, because they're scattered all across America.
These are, you said, these are silent, invisible people, in that you don't see them. They're not wounded. They don't have crutches or in a wheelchair. They can be brothers. They can be wives. They can even be parents, right?
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
The training that I was talking about literally does create communities where people support one another, because this sense of isolation is really huge.
Yeah.
And just breaking through that, connecting people who are dealing with the same issues, can make such a huge difference in terms of mental health, psychological well-being.
I will say this conversation it needs to continue over some food. We need to go to the kitchen, so we're going to step away to a break, and when we come back, we're heading into the kitchen.
Can I give you a gift first for Operation Gratitude, which we'll be talking about?
Oh, that's going into our collection for Friday. We want to remind everybody, please go to EasterSeals.com, go to ElizabethDoleFoundation.org. You can get more information on helping others who are helping those who need it. But as we said, we're heading into the kitchen next.
That's why we're going to do our little part. Elizabeth and I are going to step into the kitchen. We're making chicken tetrazzini casserole that will feed your entire family. And don't forget to bring over